Where last we left our heroes, the town of Dragon's Rest has been nearly burned to ash by a crimson dragon that the party discovered to be none other than the corrupted Garrick. In the commotion of the dragon's attack, Ramses Palto took advantage of the situation and convinced Denier to assist him in breaking into the vault which contained all of the remaining shards of the Bleeding God's gem. Well, all but one. And proceeded to collect all of them at the end of his staff, revealing a crimson, 3/4 of a crimson skull with a long red horn. Denier did his damnedest to try to convince his friend to turn away from his world-domineering goals of vengeance to make a better world for all of the sorcerers that lived within it. Unfortunately, he was unable to convince Ramses to stop, and Ramses escaped along with the now red gem-infused mechanical army built by Hresh and Timri Atson. Left in the wake of all of this destruction, the party sought to find any form of sense to this event. Now not knowing who to trust, they're left with a city in dire straits in a land fraught with conflict. So after everybody settled down, where would everybody be heading off to? Because
Asma will be heading back to his...
It's been a long day.
Asma heads back to his piece of shit apartment to see if it's got a hole in it or not, or who knows what happened. It could be just destroyed for all he knows.
You wander towards the center of town, seeing quite a few burned out husks of buildings around. The Phoenix Perch itself seems pretty damaged. Like, the roof is still standing, but the front wall has been collapsed. Several of the top front side rooms have been destroyed, it looks like. But the part where your room stands seems to be, like, it doesn't look like there's any structural damage from the outside to your place.
Uh-oh. Well, Asmo's going to slowly make his way up there to find out what the hell happened.
All right. You find it's not hard to get into the building, as the basically almost the entire front wall leading into the front desk area. All you have to do is climb over a pile of rubble, and you kind of slide down into this building. The staircase, parts of it seem kind of splintered and charred.
Oh my god. Okay. When Asma gets to his front door, is he going to open it up slightly and it's just going to fall in on itself? Because I'm getting a really bad feeling that's going to happen.
Would you like to?
I would like to find out what happened to my apartment. Yes, Nick.
All right. You open up the door, and the windows are completely shattered. The windows in your room are completely shattered. Glass kind of like everywhere. There's ash and soots, and there is definitely a hole in your roof. Like, it's not huge, but you now have kind of like a skylight kind of sitting in the middle of your room where some of the roof got torn away by the winds.
It's not like he paid for it, but it still sucks to see what happened to it. Asma flips over a overturned chair and just sits down on it and pulls out just a bottle of booze and just starts drinking. Looking out the shattered windows at everything.
The world outside is still smoldering. It's very hard to get away from the aroma of smoke, which permeates the air as you're unsure if it's still just all the smoke clouds in the sky, but it's dark as night out. It has been a pretty long day.
Mm-hmm.
We were walking with Venerial, right?
She kind of, if I recall correctly, she kind of wandered off from you to go back to check on the spire.
Okay. Then I will head back to Asmo's place as well.
All right, kind of trailing a little behind him as you set to make sense of the world. You climb over the same pile of rubble he did, kind of slide down, hop off at the end as the loose rubble slid under your feet. You can feel your shadow kind of like rise up from your ankles and nudge up against your calf a little bit, almost in kind of like a comforting sense. As you're climbing the stairs, you see Asmo's door is still kind of ajar. You see some smoke blowing in out through that door. And as you enter, you see him just kind of sitting, looking forlorn out a broken window with a bottle of nondescript brown liquor in his hands.
So,
Azra just hands her the bottle.
she'll just take it, throw it back, glug it about fourth of the way down.
Azra slowly turns like, Jesus, I thought it was just going to be a nip, not a chug.
Yeah,
You did not say how much.
Drinking a quarter of a bottle of hard grain alcohol. Go ahead and give me a constitution check.
Ha!
You are... You're not used to alcohol, first of all.
Wait, that's
And
formaldehyde!
it immediately hits you. Your world starts to spin. Your immediate thought is you think you might have been poisoned, but you think against that because you don't think Asmo would just kind of do that to you out of nowhere. But you kind of like stumble, and your shadow kind of cushions your fall as you kind of fall onto your ass.
What the is
You're not
that?
supposed to drink. You're not supposed to drink that much. You're just supposed to have a sip. You just sip a little bit.
What is it?
Okay, hold on.
Asma's gonna look around his apartment for water. Is there any water? Is there plumbing? I don't know.
Funny you should ask. Here's how plumbing works in this world. There are magical runes above your bathtub and above any source of water that you might want to draw.
So it's just like real life.
Pretty much, except it's just magically generated. You tap the rune, it starts pumping out water, and then
I give her a glass of water. Okay,
Drink this now. Okay,
Well,
and no more of the bottle.
this
Asma
gonna
just pushes it away.
do the thing too?
No, this is water. Water. It's like ice, but warm.
That makes no sense. Okay.
You know how you lived up north with all the snow?
Yeah.
That's water.
Okay.
W-A-T-E-R, water.
Okay, so you
She's
sip
gonna
on.
toss that back.
You
No,
sip on-
she's gonna be like taking those sips and like kind of reeling.
I pull her up a chair.
All right,
The
sit
world
down.
is spinning a little bit.
Okay, I know.
So,
yeah,
you drink the ice juice, and
Ice juice.
it definitely washes away some of the bitterness and burning that you had in your mouth after chugging a quarter of a bottle of grain alcohol.
Jesus.
This
Drinking gasoline.
feels like all of my time here. Nothing has
Are
made
you
any
okay?
sense. No. Why the fuck would I be okay?
Well, sit down. Sit down.
Am I sitting?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. It doesn't feel.
Asmo takes a chug of it too.
So in
You
one
watch out
fell
that
swoop,
scuffle.
ever since you came into this town, you have turned my life upside down. You know that,
I
right?
can say the same, and I feel like it's all going
Nope.
upside down.
No, it's all quite pear-shaped. It really is. And now we're going off to God knows where.
Where's that?
Now, God's nowhere. I'm assuming they do. They always know. This whole
Great.
time, I have not enjoyed the idea of gods being stronger than the average person wandering around.
What
Yet the
is an
city's ruled by
average person?
dragons, and we
The
just had one of them.
bodies?
We just had one of them manipulate my goddamn friend.
Yeah, that was pretty cool if he wasn't aiming at us, really. It was,
No,
Yeah.
There's nothing cool about that.
it was pretty cool. There was a lot of people died. That was, the master would love that.
You know,
He
your
didn't
master's got a
sound
terrible
thrilled,
sense
though.
of humor.
He wasn't very happy though. When I talked to him, he was really mad. He was really mad.
Why was he mad?
Cause the father, and he's going up the north, and I didn't tell him, and then he just fucking turned my soul all upside down. It's just like this brown water, and now I'm in trouble, and I don't know which one is my
Hey, hand on hand, real fast here.
Hey.
What?
He ain't here. You're not in trouble yet. Okay?
He didn't say it, but it felt like I was in a lot of trouble.
That guy branded me. That guy is trouble, no matter what. You're,
Oh.
he's like the weather, and you're like a ship on the ocean. You know, wherever his wind takes you, you're blown asunder, either against or to the wind.
Yeah, that feels pretty accurate.
Yeah. So it looks like you might be blowing against the wind on this one. That means you have to do all the moving yourself on this one.
But I've got two winds blowing now. There's the master, and then there's also the father. And what if and then if I try and kill the father, then what if that's my father? And then, but does that even mean anything? Because he's just a body. If I kill him, the master would be thrilled. But then there's the father, and he's.
Let's break it down. I guess let's break this down, okay?
Okay.
There are two people. One you've known about your entire life, and one you just magically know about right now.
Right, so I should kill the second one.
No. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. No. I don't know if that guy's your dad or not. If he was...
Just whistles a little bit like Jesus.
Yeah. If he was, then what do I do?
It's for you to decide.
Well, that's a hard choice.
That's life.
That's stupid.
Because when you live under the master, he tells you how to live. He tells you where to poop. He tells you where to eat. He tells you what to do. Difficult decisions mean upsetting somebody.
Well, I'm the one upset.
Exactly, and that's because you can't make a decision yet. When I decided to stick in town after the whole traveling up north thing, I made a decision to involve myself and stick around those who I actually felt a camaraderie ship for the first time in a long time. And that decision meant upsetting part of myself who wanted to go and do more crimes. Really badly wanted to do that with the metal.
Does sound fun.
You know. And I knew for a fact if I did that, I would upset Wolfgang and Denier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when any decision you make will piss somebody off at some point. Even doing nothing will piss off everybody.
Mm.
When you
But
go up
that's
north,
hard.
it is. But I've also seen you fight neck and neck with me and the guys against stuff I didn't, just for someone who've lived in a cave their whole life, wasn't really expecting them to be able to throw down with. So it may be hard, but you're tough. You're tough as nails, and you're smarter than you let on. And I think the biggest mistake your master ever made was letting you leave. Because I think the second you left that cave he's kept you in, you've realized the world is much bigger than just beyond his view.
Mm,
Now, here's what you're
yeah.
gonna do. You're gonna keep drinking that water in your hand. Alright? You're gonna keep
Okay.
drinking that water in your hand. I'm gonna have a
Okay.
sip of this bottle. And what we're gonna do here is for tonight,
Uh-huh.
you are not gonna think about that. Tonight, we are just gonna look at the city slowly stop burning. And tell you what,
Mm.
why don't you tell me some stories about you and the master?
I don't think you would like those stories, Asmo.
Well, I didn't say I wouldn't have commentary.
And as the conversation fades out to Nara beginning a series of long and somewhat uncomfortable stories about her time with the man of black and white. Wolfgang, Denier, what would you guys be doing after you parted ways with Venariel?
Denier takes a little bit of time. He walks aimlessly through the streets, looking at the destruction that he'd seen for so long. Seen for so many weeks ahead of time whenever he closes his eyes. Knowing that he was powerless to stop it. Denier finds himself a small location where there's nothing there. And he just sits and he waits for a while. He summons Eska onto his shoulder and sits there for a little bit until he's able to gather up enough strength to be able to summon his tower.
Eska pops out, but their normal chipper mood is definitely one that is reflecting your own.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of curls up and cuddles up and kind of nuzzles the side of your face a little bit in a comforting motion.
While he's sitting and waiting, he's lightly scratching Eska's ear, but he picks up a handful of ash and he looks at it. You know, it's funny. You try to do good for the world, you try to be right, you try to do what's right. He turns his hand and the ash begins to pour out. But it turns to ash in your hand. He stands up. He walks inside slowly. Sometimes I wonder what's the point. He closes the door behind him. And that's it for me for right now.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang is following that obsidian crow as best as he can. He knew it was headed northwest-ish when it flew off. He's looking for his family.
All right. You start wandering. You end up... basically, this is where a good majority of the people were fleeing. Past that park into the dwarvish city of Guildhammer. As you arrive, there are almost everybody that was remaining within Dragon's Rest is just kind of like huddling within the streets of Guildhammer. There are so many people, like they're packed here in like the houses, in the streets, just kind of like quivering and covering their like heads, just trying to stay down from everything. A couple of soldiers recognize you as you walk in. What news have you?
As far as I know, the monster has fled.
It's over.
As far as I know.
We'll start trying to get everybody back out. How's the city?
It doesn't look good. A lot of fires. Need to be put out.
Did you happen to see a young woman with brown hair, freckles?
Did I?
Go ahead and give me a perception check with disadvantage, because there was a lot of chaos going on.
Fuck.
Oh.
I really wish Roll20 would stop.
Natural 1.
Wow.
So, needless to say, you like if you did, there's no way that you could pinpoint specifically off of that vague description.
I'm sorry, lad. I haven't seen anything. Don't
Right.
lose hope, though.
We'll start spreading the word.
I'll have the Kylan Diaboli looking for people.
Thank you, sir. And he goes and starts like rousing the other anybody in the constabulary, anybody who's a soldier. He starts rousing them and letting them know that it's safe to go spread the word, and you can start hearing a commotion start to rise among the people as they learn. It's not, uproarious or cheerful by any means, but you get a sense of levity in the air.
Yeah, it's over.
Unfortunately, with all the people here, you're not sure if you're going to be able to find your family amongst all of these. But you know that at the very least, since the crow was still flying back then, that Miguel was alive when you sent that missive off.
Mm-hmm. I'll just be loosely following it then. Any Kylan Diaboli members I see, I'll order to basically help relieve people. If there are people under buildings, help them move the rubble, get them to safety or to clerics or stuff like that. Basically pointing and directing the flow of trying to get as many people safe as possible.
Directing them. So you're going to direct citizenry out of the cave, or are you just going back to the city to try to find the Kylam Diaboli that are still operating out there? They did not, as far as you know, they did not flee the dragon.
If the people in the cave will follow me back to the city, then I can basically direct the Kylam Diaboli to start helping people pick up the pieces of what they can.
The people slowly start draining out of the dwarven town. Some of the braver ones go first. Many who still have young with them, or many families kind of stay behind just to try to stay, just in case it comes back. But a few of the people start trickling out here and there as you start heading back. You do find Pogan trying to lift some rubble, trying to help dig some rubble away from a building on your way back toward town.
I'll walk up and start helping him.
Master Connolly.
Hogan, glad to see you made it.
The light be praised, I'm glad you're here. Still just digging away these heavy rocks.
What does it look like?
Back in the city, pure hell, sir. Just trying to dig away the rubble, see if we find anybody in there. I sent some of the lot of them back towards the poorer district, but the smoke comes the thickest out of there. How are you doing? You're in one piece, thankfully.
Right. There wasn't a whole lot I could do here.
Don't get too down on yourself, sir. Pretty sure there wasn't a whole lot any of us could have done.
All we can do now is try to pick up the pieces.
Aye.
I'll see if I can send some people your way to help.
Please
The
do.
What were you
Poor
saying?
districts are on fire. They'll need my help the most.
Aye, sir.
I'll pat him on the back.
He continues moving rubble away until there's a hole just big enough for him to slip through.
All right. I'm gonna check the inside.
I'll cast light on his. Is he wearing like a medallion or anything?
Yeah, he's got a pendant on.
Okay, I'll cast light on it.
Thank you. In we go.
Starts squeezing his way into the building. So you're gonna make your way down to the poorer district.
Yeah.
As you start making your way down towards the docks, where the smoke seems to be emanating from the most, your heart sinks as you realize that there's not much fire left here, but just mounds and mounds and mounds of ash circling in the winds. This place seems to have been entirely immolated. The ships on the dock are, if not completely scuttled, very little of them is sticking up out of the water. The docks themselves have been burned to splinters. Everything down here is just ash and burnt.
Do I see any Caleb the Ebola down here?
You see some, in the distance, there are some people digging through the ash. It's hard to make out who they are from atop the hill here. But you see probably about 6 or 7 ashen shapes trying to dig through the what rubble lies beneath the ashes of this district.
Not really a lot I can do except wait for word to come back from Miguel. So I'll go down there and I'll start helping. If anybody needs healing, I'll provide that. I'll help with some of the lifting of the rubble or clearing of the ash, prestidigitation, stuff like that.
As you begin assisting with the rescue effort, you find Rosemary down here. You find basically the remainder of your staff and a few of the older cadets. Some of them don't seem too particularly wounded. Luckily, Mr. Lightbrand was down there. He's still a cleric, so he's been healing people as he has been. But from what you understand, they have found 0 survivors here so far.
Damn it. Well, I guess I'm just waiting then. Waiting for Miguel to try to get back to me.
How long would you wait?
Probably a couple hours.
Those couple hours pass.
I'll go on my own and start looking for one.
You're now completely covered in ash. As you've been digging through here, your beard is caked with it, and even through that time, not a single survivor was found. Your hair now is as gray a hair as any Connolly has ever had.
Nick, when you say there are no survivors, is he finding charred remains?
They have been completely burned, like bone and all.
Burned to ash.
It is not. It is not unlikely that a good chunk of the ash that is covering his face and beard are in fact people.
Got it.
We're all diamond dogs now.
Oh.
Good thing we killed the old God of War, or we would have had it stick to my skin.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You start. You start search. Where would you begin your search?
I go back to the Connolly household, see if there's anything there.
There is there does look to be lantern lights on inside as you approach.
I'll just make my way in.
As you get inside, you see bodies just kind of slumped down in your household. None
Do they look
familiar.
familiar at all?
None of the body. Well, give me. Actually, one of them might. Give me a perception check.
Come the fuck. 7? Not a natural 1, but almost.
From here, you. One of them, like the body shape looks vaguely familiar, but they're kind of like slumped down against a wall, against the wall. You do, however, notice that there is pretty easy to see, a note with a few blood drops on it, kind of like folded up and sitting next to your chair, which has been overturned. By the way, your house, very similar to Asmo's apartment. All the glass is shattered. The front is completely singed. Your roof has several holes in it.
Fuck.
But yeah, there's a note sitting on a table next to an overturned chair.
I'm gonna read that.
All right. If you'll go to your handouts, your journal page, you'll find the bloody note. Hold on. Why can't I should be able to show this to everybody.
God
All
damn it.
players. There we go. Feel free to read it aloud.
Mr. Connolly, I hope you find this and in good health. I don't expect you to believe me, but whatever happened here, I had nothing to do with it. At least I hope I didn't. I fear my time to write this is limited, as I can feel the presence returning as my hand writes these words. Whatever happens here, I feel my presence will now do more harm, so I'm heading off to find Arcanos to see if I can purge this presence for good. I found these men disrespecting your home, so I decided to use my talents to put a little bit of good back into the world. Fezziwig Grinspire. Good luck.
The good luck is written in a notably different handwriting and seemingly in blood. And there's a little smiley face drawn right next to the good luck.
Stir.
Oh my god.
Well, I'll just... Fuck.
Sorry, my game
I'll
just
just-
crashed. I'm getting back into it.
You're good.
I'll just, Metal Gear Solid style hook them underneath the legs and drag them one by one out of my house.
As you drag the one that's most immediately available to you, the one kind of slumped against the wall, his head rocks back as you start pulling his legs, and you see a cruel, sickening, familiar smile across his face with a telltale puncture wound in the heart.
Just growls and looks away as he pulls him out onto the street. He'll do him the decency of throwing like a sheet over him or something.
Yeah, getting a better look at this figure, it's actually that half elf that tried to attack you in the dungeon.
Huh.
As you pull out the remainders, who you're guessing are either just random looters or other prisoners that crawled their way out of the dungeon. There were 3 of them in total. 1 half-elf, 1 human, and a dwarf.
I'll throw like a sheet or something I could wash over them, just to keep them out of the sight of any children or grieving people or anything like that.
Rest in peace, bastards.
And he'll go looking for any more signs that that Jamat or Miguel or Elliot were there.
Actually, as you're finishing disposing of the bodies, you hear a familiar voice.
Oh, Master Connolly, thank God!
Jamat.
Jamat, just with as fast as his little gnomish legs can carry him, is just running down the street towards you.
I'll run equally as fast.
Probably faster, all things considered. But not too far behind him, Miguel is carrying Elliot.
Glad you made it through that, cousin.
Thank whatever gods were listening that you're all alright.
There weren't nothing I was gonna let happen to these 2.
Right. How's my boy?
He's a little tuckered out, but I think he'll be fine. Bit of a traumatic experience.
I know.
I'll walk up and I'll just start stroking his hair.
You can see his arms kind of like move to grab around Miguel's neck a little bit tighter.
My baby boy, thank God.
Here. Miguel kind of shifts him over to you so you can hold him.
He's got a hell of a grip.
He gets that from his mom.
He
Thank
kind of
God
like
you're all right.
kind of motions with his hands to the bodies under the tarp outside.
Those aren't.
Looters.
Oh. I suppose something like that was bound to happen in all the chaos.
There's something else.
Yeah.
It was our mutual enemy. The Jester.
His face stiffens. What tiredness and like fatigue seem to beguile his face is entirely replaced with a look of anger and concern.
What do you mean? Where is he? Where is the bastard?
I know where he's going.
Well, point me in the fucking direction.
He's headed to the overgrowth, Miguel.
The fuck? What the bleed? What the bloody hell does he be going there?
I pull the note. I walk inside and I hand him the note.
He knows you by name.
The man the Jester is riding knows me by name. The Jester's like nothing I've ever seen. Like a split personality that's developed its own being, presence. Can go from person to person, apparently.
Well, I hope you don't think too much less of me, cousin, but I don't right give a fuck if either of them, if they both have to die, for them both to die.
I know. I'm sure Mr. Grinspire would not be opposed to sacrificing himself to make sure the Jester doesn't come back. But I don't think it's that simple. I'll be meeting with my team tomorrow to discuss our next plans. For now, I think we all need some rest.
I suppose we do.
Jamaat,
Yes, sir.
are you hurt?
Nothing a little aloe wouldn't solve.
I just hold them real tight.
Thank the gods you're safe, sir.
I don't know what I'd do if I ever lost you two.
You just kind of sit there in silence for a moment.
Come on, sir. Nothing a nice hot cup of tea can't fix. Or at least help.
You three are all I got left in this bloody world.
Ouch.
Shut up, here.
I mean, it's so serious.
Somewhere, Asmo's feelings got hurt.
Oh, ouch, oof, my feelings.
Daenerys and Asmo are standing right behind him the whole time.
What was that one thing from
We had this birthday cake for you.
the Fairly Odd Parents thing when someone looking for my phone? Ah!
Oh my.
All right. So you guys all go get some rest. The morning, the smell of smoke still thick in the air, but it's beginning to clear from the sky. Unbelievably, there's still like it's still kind of like a veil of smoke kind of like wandering the streets, it feels. Daenerys, you'd probably be the first to awaken, having been the first to actively... Woo, loud fan. Oh, your fan was just really loud when you went off mute. It's cool.
Oh,
Man, it's going.
sorry. Should I turn it off?
No, you're good.
I think
you're
it's
good.
fine now.
Okay.
Can never turn off Daenerys fans.
Yeah, your microphone was just adjusting for it, having just been turned off. But yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah. So you're the first to awaken.
I think that what Daniel would probably do is he'd probably grab something small to eat from the kitchen, and he would begin walking into town, namely heading towards Telos and Timmery's, to see if they're still there, if they're open, and how they are, given that he was told last night that that Timmery was rescued.
The building itself is pretty heavily damaged. Kind of looks almost like it's collapsed in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the areas, a lot of the shops in this area look the same way. Like there's rubble here, rubble there. But their shop in particular was absolutely fucked by the dragon.
And there's no signs of them being there?
Does not look like they are there currently, no.
Okay. He knows that since it's this early, it probably wouldn't, Wolfgang and Asmo probably wouldn't be up. So he'd take this time and walk towards the Academy of the Arcanate. He's specifically going to be looking for some of the teachers, if they're there. He's going to try to call a faculty meeting, so to speak, if need be.
All right. You make it to the academy. One of the few buildings nearly untouched by the attack, mostly due to the warding that Ramses set up to protect the space.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, there's still kind of like a buzz going about. All classes today have most definitely been canceled. You are able to locate. You're able to locate some of the staff that you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to pull them aside and basically, well, I don't know how to exactly say this, but it would appear that Ramses has skipped town. So I think that we're on our own for a little bit.
Well, what do you mean? Where's he gone? Do he go to track that beast?
I hate to be the bearer of the bad news. He left, he took something and he left. He claimed that he's working to better the Arcanonate in the world, but I think his actions are misguided. I don't know if he's going to be returning anytime soon. So at the very least, for now, we need to be sure that somebody is capable of running the school. I'm going to be heading off, no doubt, try to find the beast myself, or at least try to find out what's going on. We have an idea of what's going on, but the school is one of my foremost thoughts, and I wanted to make sure that the school was taken care of, and most importantly, the students taken care of.
None of us have... I mean, we've been teaching for a while. We have control over our abilities, but none of us have the leadership that Master Palto had. Perhaps, would you mind talking to Master Firefang of the Dragon Branch?
Of course.
She'd be able to lend us some assistance.
Of course. I wanted to speak to all of you first before speaking to him. I'd rather make sure that everybody's aware of the situation first and foremost. I don't want rumors spreading, or I don't want students getting alarmed as to what's going on.
Is Master Ramses really going to make the world better for us?
I believe that he thinks he is. Whether his actions are true or misguided, that's for fate to say. But he believes that what he's doing is right.
We trust Master Ramses. And we trust you. Thank you, Master Highwind.
The near nods. I'll speak to Master Firefang when I have an opportunity, but I wanted to make sure you're all aware. If you don't see him around, that's to be expected. Just do what you can, keep yourself safe, and try to keep those around you safe.
We'll make sure to let the students know.
You have my gratitude.
As you have ours.
And Daenerys will turn, and he will begin heading off. The Draconic Sorcery Academy is in the Dwarven City, correct?
No, it's actually very close to this one. It's actually built as almost like a second wing to this academy.
Mm-hmm.
You're very close to army training barracks, and the Academy of Sorcery, Dragonborn Sorcery, was built to supplement the military.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too far away, although this building, significantly less warded, has some very noticeable scorch marks, a lot of the fine stonework depicting dragons breathing fire, breathing ice. A lot of draconic imagery has been eroded away on the stonework, cracked, shifted. Many of the windows have been blown out. It's not very hard to find Theradoc Firefang. He's overseeing the cleanup in the courtyard. Theradoc, this is the first time you've actually seen him without robes. Unlike any of the typical Dragonborn you've seen, Theradoc has a pair of wings on his back.
Interesting. Daenerys begins to approach. Master Firefang, may I have a word for a few minutes?
Yeah. All right, just keep sweeping out the ash. Yeah. How can I help you? Oh, Master Highwind.
I do apologize for intruding. I know that you're working on getting your academy back up and running, but Master Palto's gone. He left last night. He's doing what he believes to be right, but I believe that he's doing it with the wrong reasons in mind. He's gone up north to try to change the way that the arcane innate is looked at in the north and the south, but he's going about it the wrong way, and he's left the academy without a lead, so to speak. I've already spoken to the instructors at the Academy for the Arcane Innate, but I didn't want to leave them without a skilled teacher. And I wanted to come to ask of your aid. I'm going to be heading north to try to find these creatures that attacked the city, to at least try to find something to stop it and stop the chaos that's happening. But
his black eyes glance over you curiously.
The way you speak of this, you make it sound like he had something to do with what happened here.
I believe he did.
Then you will need to elaborate if I'm going to be teaching the ones that he has been teaching.
There is... Master Ramses Palto absconded with a number of very powerful artifacts from the castle last night. He plans to use it to bring vengeance to the north for the injustice that the sorcerers, that the Arcane Innate has had. He attempted to get me to join him on this task. I refused. And we had it out in the middle, underneath the castle. He left. He fled. And shortly after, the beast followed him. I don't know if the beast is following him, following his power, or if he controls the beast. But I'm going after him.
That beast was a dragon of a color that I had not seen before. A full-blooded dragon.
First of its kind that I've heard.
What else do you know of it?
Not a massive amount. I know that there's corruption in play. I know that it wasn't always a dragon.
What do you mean?
From what I understand, the dragon at one time was a dragonborn. And
His eyes widen when you say that.
And whatever happened to him turned him into that.
So it's possible.
It is. I went into his mind. I went into his dreams a number of days ago. I did battle with the corruption inside of his soul. I saved his mind, at the very least.
You and I have much to discuss.
His eyes kind of like glance past you for a moment. Master Theradoc!
Oh.
You hear the voice of Venariel. Oh, Daenerys. Good. I don't have to look for you in two different places. His Majesty, he's regained consciousness.
Good. I expect that he's going to want to speak to us, but I was making sure that the academy had a leader. Now that Palto's gone,
Yes. He's requested your presence as well as Mr. Connolly and Asmo's, and yours as well, Master Firefang. Apparently there is much to discuss. We've received some troubling missives.
that's concerning.
Everything is these days. If you wouldn't mind gathering your friends for me.
Denier is going to cast Sending. First one is to Asmo. Asmo, we're being summoned to the palace. The king is awake. He wants to talk to us. And the same for Wolfgang. The same.
That's what wakes you both up.
I suppose we'll continue this conversation later then.
When we next have an opportunity.
Until then, Miss Venaria, shall I escort you to the palace?
No, I have a few more to collect. She just she nods. Please make your way there at your own leisure. And she begins wandering back off into town.
I'll accompany you, Master Firefang.
Good.
And
Our discussion
Denier
could use
begins
a little
walking
bit
on.
more fleshing out.
As you wander off telling Theradoc about what information would you keep from him, if any?
The ritual itself. I would keep away the fact that Denier doesn't know that Garrick was killed for it. He would keep that away from him. He would keep away that it was specifically Tia that was running the ritual, and the nature of the ritual itself. He wouldn't tell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, Wolfgang, you are awoken by the sending spell from Denier, letting you know that the king is awake and that the dragons are summoning basically a council.
I'll be there.
Could Asma respond, or can he only hear?
You can respond.
Okay, but do I have to bite my tongue? I have loaded opinions.
Does Nara have a hangover?
Since you don't sleep, technically no.
Great.
You'll be in a room with at least 3.5 dragons. Say what you will, but know their temper. Is Asmo's reply.
Okay.
All right. So we
Okay,
will
then.
pick up at the council after a short break. Hey guys, Lani here. If you're liking what you're watching, feel free to hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps me feel the love for this series. And if you want to catch us live, feel free to hit us up on twitch.tv/Lanipator Mondays at 5 o'clock Central Time. Thanks for rolling with me. Now let's get back to the action. You guys make your way towards the now basically ruins of a palace, sitting out front, kind of just outside that mouth of a cave that you guys crawled from, which is now essentially a very large pile of rubble with a slight cave to it, just kind of giving you a little bit of cover. You see the royal dragons, King Bahoom still kind of sitting very meekly and frailly for somebody of his stature. Harish standing at his right and Tia standing off to his left. There's definitely tension amongst them. Wolfgang, Asmo, Nara, as you approach, Denier is already there along with a bronze-scaled dragonborn, what appear to be a couple of soldiers, and Venariel.
I'll just pat Denier on the shoulder. Asmo, Nara, Denier, you all get 9 temporary hit points.
Yay!
Yay!
Why? What's happening?
Oh, it's just something I can do.
Oh,
Just in case.
As
Drop
Nara
a
walks in, she
flashbang.
immediately eyes Venariel.
She is, she gives you kind of like a polite nod.
Her eyes linger as if she needs to say something, but we'll save it.
She nods in acknowledgement. The king, who, for the first time in a long time, specifically for at least Asmo and Wolfgang, since he was in that deranged, fire-breathing state where he was turning into his draconic form, gives you a, like, kind of like raises his hand, which still kind of like quivers as he lifts it.
I would like to begin by thanking those of you that made this recovery possible. Young Denier, know that I understand that it was not by your hand that what befell me came to pass.
Denier lowers his head a little bit, but nods.
And I know full well that you played no small part in making my recovery possible. I'm still coming to terms with everything that has happened since.
He starts to shake as he presses his hands into the side of his chair. Harish goes to help him. Bahum kind of like holds his hand out to stop Harish.
I have caused this land that I care for no end of grief.
As he gets to his feet, he starts to kind of like bend down a little until he takes a knee. He sits in a kneeling pose.
I can only ask for forgiveness. Brother,
He holds up his hand and kind of like looks towards Harish.
This may not be all by my hand, brother. But these circumstances were brought about because of my actions. I owe my life to each of you.
His eyes kind of like glance past and kind of like stops on yours, stops at you for a moment, Nara.
She's staring pretty heavily at him.
He starts to kind of get back to his feet.
It's been some time since one of your kind was in my presence.
Who was the last?
An assassin.
He
You
sits
know.
back down in his throne. Or his makeshift throne.
Do you know who they were?
I came to know them. Respect them even. I do not agree with their methods. But I understand their power is necessary in times like this. Which brings us to the point at hand.
Harish says.
We've received troubling reports Barristan Kench is on the move.
Asmo spits. On the floor.
I figured you'd want to hear that. Furthermore, well,
He looks over towards Venariel.
I received a message from my father in Mitternacht.
Hmm?
The city of Iceforge has fallen.
Fallen.
So,
There's not a lot of information coming out of there. But to the people of Mitternacht, it went completely dark.
Nara's eyes start shifting everywhere.
We believe it may be Ramses.
So he's already on the move.
So it would seem. Wasting no time.
The Archmage has been informed.
Yes, my father told me. He didn't take your threat seriously until... well, the news came from Iceforge.
what of the dragon?
Theradoc speaks up.
Do we have any leads on where it went? My friend here informs me that it wasn't born a dragon.
No.
He gets a few.
It was not.
You get a couple of confused looks from the soldiers, one of which seems to be kind of highly decorated. The other one is Yorick.
No, it was not born a dragonborn. It was not born a dragon. It was born a dragonborn.
So I've heard.
He kind of like stretches his wings a little bit. Which, Asmo, this is a dragonborn with a set of draconic wings on its back. Something that's not very common. In fact, first one you've seen.
Congrats on the genetic lottery.
I've spent my years studying ways to try to become more like your highnesses.
He kind of like bows.
But for something like that to happen to someone born as I was, I need to know how.
why?
Perhaps there's a way to reverse the process. And as the foremost expert on the biology of dragons, I might be of some assistance.
I would like to insight this man.
Yeah,
Go
Nara's
for it.
gonna do the same.
Go for it.
Insight the legendary dragon.
Here we go. 21.
15.
Wolfgang, he definitely seems to have some ulterior motive with his desire for this type of information. And the desire is fairly obvious. You think this man wants to, further along his own evolution in some way.
If I might be perfectly frank,
Please.
The king
I think
gestures.
I think I've had quite enough of people playing God. So as long as we're keeping to reversing the process, I think we'll be fine, but I'm not about to deal with another dragon. I've had it with cleaning up other people's messes. Am I understood?
He kind of like flexes his wings a little bit.
Of course. I simply seek to remedy the situation.
You'd better.
That doesn't seem likely.
And what would you do, girl?
Not have another dragon to deal with.
Well, the next time non-ideas are ideas, I will look you up.
Oh, fuck.
And if I want someone who's power hungry, I'll look you up.
Oh.
Hooray,
This is Nara. This
Hooray,
is Nara.
Hooray holds
Everybody.
up his hands.
If we can have some order.
This is Nara, everybody. She's new in town, and she was drinking last night.
Everything that has happened since I've gotten here has been the worst thing.
That's not untrue.
One might wonder if that were a cause.
Theranak says.
Oh, stop trying to find reasons to be mad at me.
I don't need reasons. And you're beneath being mad at.
Oh, I've rustled a scale, haven't I?
His wings just kind of like flap a little, like kind of like blow a little gust.
In any case,
Harash says,
you said Kench was on the move. Do you have
Yes.
any more information?
His men. They're moving eastward and southward. They're marching on Fallwood
East
Barrow
and south.
and Amber Glade. They already have control of Wild's Edge.
Why are they going to follow Barrow?
Rumor has it that his Baroness has ties to the north.
Oh, that's fun. They want the connection to the wall.
That's what we
The
believe.
gate. It'll be a direct connection to the open wall, so they have a complete ability to cross over to the north, where in which he'll be able to tackle Birchwood Creek and all surrounding towns. As well, if he takes Fallwood Barrow, it locks off pretty much the #1 way of traveling north, so he'll be unable to deal with anything in the north at the same time. So it looks like he has moved simultaneously 2 directions. Wild's Edge is not that strong of a fight. It's not that shocking as it's relatively close in comparison. Fallwood Barrow puts him out, and that leaves him open on the southern flank from Amber Glade to Silver Rock. He has a long stretch of land.
That will also be cutting us off from any potential allies in the west.
Mm-hmm.
A kind of disheveled looking, who you assume to be General Dragonborn, just kind of shuffles a few papers.
What they said.
Just kind of it looks
like, I'm
real.
looking-
He looks really defeated right now, guys.
Sorry, guys. I'm looking at a map here, and I'm just like, you know how many strategy games I play? I'm just like, all right, yeah,
Oh
they've
my
overextended on the
God.
left flank, so then the southern flank is open. What is hard about the replays about this? Fuck's sake, I play the pirate game to relax.
But with that, their forces far outnumber our own, even those we have garrisoned in forts outside of Dragon's Rest.
What are they looking at for forces, and what's the makeup of close combat, ranged, siege, and also magical? And I'm assuming he's using magical.
That's
Nars.
that's part of another report we've received.
Of course
They-
he's a hypocrite.
They've built what appears to be a massive cannon atop Silver Rock Manor.
Oh, he did he?
No doubt as a means to try to dissuade the masters.
He kind of bows towards the royal family.
From making an aerial assault.
So essentially he has a giant deterrent, so any attempt on Silver Rock will equal massive casualties. He's forcing the fight in either Fallwood Barrow or Wild's Edge.
Furthermore, their forces outnumber ours 10-1.
How is that possible?
We were living in peace times, and many of our men, through propaganda, have joined his side. After seeing what happened to this town, you've no doubt seen its population dwindle in the past months, over the past year.
Can't imagine the dragon incident made things any better either.
No, that only sought to further diminish what garrison we had here. I'm afraid, as it stands, aside from myself, Master Yorick here would be the next ranking member of the military. And I've just been guarding a gate all these years.
What is the makeup of all the numbers of soldiers? Fieldable, without lowering the defense of Dragon Rest to a dangerous level.
To be fair, the amount we have at Dragon's Rest would already be at a dangerous level. But for the troops that we have garrisoned at Amberglade, River Run, and Fallwood Barrow, and the Wall, we have maybe 1,000 men.
It's why if I'm looking... Are we looking at a big map? Right now?
Yeah.
Of the land? As far as I can tell right now, you have one opportunity, and they might be baiting you into it. On the left flank, as they push into Fallwood Barrow, you have the ability to pincer them between Amberglade and the Wall. However, they might be seeing that coming. As a matter of fact, they might be hoping for that entirely.
Especially
Because in the end, that's what the majority of the forces are.
Especially if they attack Amberglade from the west.
Makes me believe that they might be going for the Wall first. If they secure the Wall, they lock off any reinforcements from the north if they so choose to get into this fight. However, there's one thing they haven't factored in on, and that's the west.
You're thinking of reinforcements from Oasis?
Oh, I'm thinking about calling in a favor. Steve, he'll say yes or no, depending, but to be fair...
And Aswell pulls out his blade, like the one he, of course, received. Sorry, my game's crashed multiple times. I gotta pull up my character sheet again.
No worries. You talking about Chimera?
I pull out Chimera.
Besides, I do have his sister's weapon. And he does owe us.
Nara's a
Here's
little
the-
taken aback. Side note of that, like, Asmo is talking about, like, how she talks about hunting and thinks through these things. She's never seen this side of Asmo before, so this is, like, kind of, like, exciting in a like, we're going to bond over this later.
Oh, you're into this. Oh, you're into this too?
Yeah.
Asmo used to have some really awesome strats for being a highwayman.
Well,
Cannot
we'll get
overstate
there
his
later.
highwayman strats.
Wow.
But here's the threat, it might be very hard. We'd have to move and speak to those in Oasis, so they might want some capitulation, so you might need to open up diplomatic negotiations with Oasis in a more official manner. It might mean sucking it up, bending a knee, whatever have you, whatever is necessary to acquire those troops and those forces. Because I'm pretty sure we can convince Dogad and those of the Western Kingdom that having you as neighbors is way better than having that piece of shit Kench as a neighbor.
Well,
Kench is bad.
He burns mages on the stake and then uses them.
The king,
Piece of people.
Bahum looks towards you.
if you can send a message to them and perhaps acquire their aid, I'm not sure how much time we have to gather their forces.
What could you give me that they would take as a serious act of friendship?
I do not
And
know
think
what I-
hard about this one. The whole kingdom's on the line. My goodwill gets you the meeting. Your pitch gets you the ally.
I do not know what I have to offer these days.
He'd want to fight.
Well, how about one of the dragons goes there along with me? Or us? That would be a pretty big sign of seriousness.
If I may rephrase, that type of travel, I don't know if there's that kind of time.
Above game, we have the teleporter, right?
To
Nope, we don't have any.
no.
We don't
You have
any
no way of
tele-
teleporting
way-
to Oasis.
Yeah,
Damn, I thought we did. I thought we.
No.
Oh, son of a gun.
we don't have any teleportation circles there.
The only
Boo,
travel,
where
the
is-
only way you know how to travel there takes about a month,
No. Oh my god.
and that's.
I'm sorry.
And by that you'd have to get to Fallwood Barrow.
What is. Nara's gonna step forward.
What is your relationship with the master?
To your master.
Yes.
I once saw him as an enemy.
Once. But now?
Simply a
Wait.
shadow of a time long since past. He disappeared after the war. The last one to see him was my father and his ancestor.
He points towards he nods towards Wolfgang.
I mean, of course, you've seen him since, but the last time I saw him was on the field of battle. Before the miasma hit. And the beast burrowed its way from the hills.
Oh, if it is a force that you need. Too many bodies, and no bodies to fight them. Why not speak with my master? He has many bodies. I know. I have provided many of them.
I'm sure you have, and I'm sure he has plenty. But if I know anything about your master, my face would be the last one he'd want to see.
This is all about convincing him that Kench is actually the last face he wants to see.
I feel as though there are many threads coming together right now. And this bad Kench is going to get in the way of when these threads come together.
We are not your military leaders. We are not commanders in your army. What are you asking us to do?
My brother came up with a elegant plan for this particular problem.
He looks towards Horace.
My forces will engage them in the fields. We'll hold them back, make it look like we're pressing with all of our might. While we battle, we need a small force to enter and cut the beast off at the head.
So, reduced to assassins then.
Nah, my question was, is he leading from his Silver Rock, or is he leading from the front? Or is his Baroness leading from Silver Rock or the front?
As
Former
far as
paladin
we,
of
as
a
far
war
as we,
god.
Ah!
as far
Warnick.
as we are aware, he has not left Silver Rock yet. Perhaps he's waiting for the challenge he seeks, or perhaps he's more cowardly than he lets on.
Might be the latter.
Either
Denier.
way,
Denier,
Yes, Asmo.
you have an ability to contact Dogud, yes?
I do. My concern is how much time it would take for Dogud to get here.
Oh, we don't know that. Don't forget, he is a god. And you know, those are full of surprises.
Naswa just looks at the dragons. All of them.
I will.
1, 2, 3.
Say, the people of the West have been war-ravaged for decades, perhaps even centuries. I'm not so certain they'll be eager to jump into another conflict, especially with people they don't know.
Well, it's not necessarily a conflict, more or less a distraction.
What's the difference?
Well, a distraction means they won't all die. A distraction means they can get away. Because in truth, forgive me, I see this like just running a simple highway trap. You let them overextend and you jump them from the sides. The question is, the only thing we have to do is make sure that they overextend. And what's better than some overpowered being taunting them to go down a valley path? So then you could hit them from both sides and cut off part of their army. Theoretically, that could work. It all comes down to if Doga comes in from the western flank, though. And only if he's interested in doing such a thing, but it's hard to say. Man's a mystery to me in a lot of ways.
That is true. We have no guarantee that he'll help us.
It's worth a phone call. It's worth an orb of sending, though, at least.
I can also try to mess with Kinch's mind. Destabilize him, make him sloppy, force him to make mistakes. Just an idea.
Whatever strategy you want to use on your own. Unfortunately, the assassins that we know are incommunicado.
Of course.
Which assassins do you know?
He kind of averts Asmo's gaze a little bit.
The Deadeyes.
Oh, that's fun to know.
Honestly, I'm not surprised by anything anymore. So,
Wouldn't be surprised if Solomon's living under your seat there. Christ.
we cause a distraction. Or you cause a distraction. We slip in. Kill Kench.
A force small enough would be able to slip through the lines unnoticed. I know what I'm asking.
And then
I
what?
know. The way I see it, there are a few paths forward. I did not take the threat of this bleeding god seriously enough. As it stands, you three are the reigning experts on that situation. Our peace treaty to the north. I don't know if it will last beyond whatever it is Ramses Palto is doing up there. Or if we'll be dealing with an entirely new government entirely. But there is also, as Miss Venariel mentioned, the god that disappeared over 1,000 years ago. Perhaps Arcanos might know something.
As it turns out, we have business in the overgrowth.
Your path forward, whichever way you choose, is yours. Even if you choose to forego Kench entirely. But if you do, I just don't want to see any more darkness fall across this land than already has. Knowing that it was my fault.
If we forego Kench, Kench will take Forward Burrow, and we're going to burn a major bridge that we need in the future.
There will be
can't do
nothing
that.
left for us to save.
There's a very valuable ally in Forward Burrow that if that town disappears, we lose them.
Not to mention all the surrounding settlements. Solitude and River Run.
Amberglade.
The three of us together would more than likely be able to hold off his forces, if I were at full strength. But I feel the people have surrendered long since then. and we would have no right to rule over a desolation.
How long do we have to make this decision? When is the attack going to happen?
Lord Horace is going to be departing today to try to amass what men he can to form up the defense. The sooner you can make your decision, the better.
Wolfgang looks to the others.
Well, what are
I
we
vote.
thinking?
My vote is to deal with Kinch, then go after Arcanos. We can't let Emberglade or Fallwood Barrow fail.
Kench. Let's try some of the things we've been talking about. I don't want to pass up some perfect opportunities to make it as devastating for Kench as possible.
Wolfgang looks
Nah.
at Nara.
Nara looks both ways, points at herself.
Oh, do I get to choose now?
Do you want to murder a man?
Always. But things are quite complicated now.
This one's not complicated. Kench deserves an ass kicking.
I am still bound to the boyfriend.
Razzle just kind of like grabs his nasal ridge.
Yorick kind of cocks an eye.
Wolfgang turns to face the royals.
I suppose I should not end my mission until it is done. That is what the master would want, right? So, where the boyfriend goes, Nara will follow. For now.
Wolfgang turns to face the royals.
Looks like we're assassins.
You have, once again, my gratitude. When you liberate Silver Rock and its people, you will have theirs as well, I'm sure.
None of you would happen to have a small silver cage, would you?
They kind of like look back and forth at each other, then over to Tia, who has been kind of standing back and being very silent throughout this. There's definitely an awkward air between the dragons. She kind of like cups her hands and kind of forms a small silver cage out of her magic. Will this do?
I'll look it over. Does it look sort of like nice jewelry? Would you say?
It looks like I mean, it's made out of silver dragon scales, so nicer than most, honestly.
Awesome. I'll take it. I'll nod at her, and I'll wrap it with chain around my belt, and I'll just have it there at my hip. Perfect.
Nara's gonna chime in.
Does that mean that we're all going to get something that will be helpful in the future?
If there is anything that we can spare, all you need to do is request it.
Rebuild meat house.
Horace is just nodding.
She looks at Venariel.
I have a request for you, but
Oh,
it will be not in a room filled with people.
okay.
If we're going into a war zone, we're going to need a supply of healing. That's not a lot on hand right now.
Yes.
Wolfgang.
Healing, please.
Wolfgang does what he can, but we're going to need that. And if we're making requests, I have a strange one, but a gilded flower. An unusual request, but I think it'll be very useful coming up.
Do you happen to have a flower on you?
Denier, I don't think that Denier would. But what I think it is, it's just, I don't think it's like a real flower. But would there be one nearby?
Make me a perception check. Or a survival check of your choosing.
Let me see.
Do it.
Nat 1.
You know,
Lots of scorched earth around you, unfortunately.
I unfortunately do not.
Well,
The king kind of pries off a loose scale of his.
Mm-hmm.
Starts like clawing, using his claw on it in his palm. I'm gonna give the king a crafting check. He's not. Oh, that'll counter that. 19 on the die.
Oh boy.
Uses his claws to peel away at his golden scale until it becomes this basically just a I'm bad at flowers. It becomes a golden flower with like a kind of like a shark's tooth pattern, like layering back of petals. And just hands it towards you.
Denier takes it, he thanks him, and he looks over towards Harish. On a more personal note, I do want to give you my thanks. Denier motions up towards the top of his staff where one of Harish's scales are. It proved quite valuable to me.
The scale that's on there has kind of like cracked and withered a little bit since its use.
Yep.
well, looks like you could use a refresher then.
He peels a scale off himself.
Ow! Off! That one was. That one wasn't.
Azra's just estimating right now. What the fucking...
Everybody got a scale of dragons.
Really?
Well, everybody got one of the 3 dragon scales, I should say.
Yay.
Before Palto left, I made sure that he felt your wrath, Harish. And he plucks
We'll let that make sure he feels it again.
Denier nods a couple times, and he puts the full scale into the bag of scales that he has already. He bows, and he steps back.
Yorick kind of holds his hand up.
I know, I'm sure I'm being sent out with the army, but I don't really understand what I'm doing here. I feel like I've got nothing to contribute.
Harish looks towards Tia. You will be tracking the dragon. Why would I? Because we believe it's your brother. His expression sinks. Bahum speaks up.
Unbeknownst to me, your brother was used as a vessel to contain the corruption that was growing within me. We thought you deserved the chance to seek him out.
Yorick is just silent and stunned.
Daenerys looks over towards Yorick. Yorick, you should know his mind is still in there. I went into his mind. I went into his dreams myself. I fought the corruption inside of his head, inside of his soul. And I erected a barrier to keep himself safe. I don't know how much is there, but at least something, some part of your brother is still there. I left two of the best guards that I could possibly leave with him.
You planned this.
He looks towards the royal family.
You planned for it to be him. Everything.
He reaches up to his like the various medals that are sitting on his vest and just kind of like rips them off.
I will find him. And I will get him back. And after that, I'm done with you.
Asmo's just like biting his tongue and nodding.
Nara's smiling way too big.
He notices.
Did you know?
I just found out last night, and Asmo sends him the darkest look he can. And Asmo's like gritting his teeth when he says it.
Yorick just Yorick just jerks his head to the side and starts like ripping away at his uniform as he walks off.
Nara nudges Asmo and kind of gestures at Bahum and goes, I like him.
Everybody just kind of sits in a stunned silence for a moment.
I have no doubt there will be much to discuss after all this is done. All I can do, for now, is try to make good what has been made wrong. It will still take some time for me to recover my full strength. That is all. Dismissed.
The king kind of like leans back. Tia wanders back into the darkness. Hresh and the general kind of like start talking on their own. And Venariel wanders over to you, Nara.
You had a request of me.
Yes. I need to see that book you were studying.
She says it very quietly so that no one else can overhear.
Well, I could certainly show it to you.
And any other study materials that might be helpful. I need you to give them to me for a bit.
I cannot part with the book. It is my family's legacy.
Well, it's doing a really great job thus far.
I know
Wow.
that none of this, anything is good. I did not ask to be put in charge.
Don't misunderstand. I do not blame you for following your orders. I, of all people, can understand such a thing. But now, that information is very important. And I have concerns.
She reaches.
Over.
She reaches behind herself. She doesn't seem to be wearing a bag, but the book materializes as she pulls her hand back out.
Oh,
You don't seem the studious sort. She flips through the pages and like holds open like the pages to the ritual. I want you to do a Arcana check with disadvantage, as you are not a practiced wizard.
9.
This page is full of gibberish runes, and none of it makes sense to you. Like, there are various languages, 90% of which you don't comprehend, and the letters appear to be almost in a random order. There's no discernible pattern.
Well, that's annoying as fuck.
It takes centuries of study. Lifetimes dedicated to the pursuit of arcane knowledge. Your powers come to you more freely, if I'm correct.
Yes. Which only until just now is annoying.
You have strengths that I do not. And I have strengths that you do not. We need to seek to make these strengths balance out each other's weaknesses. That's the only way we can set these things right. If there is something I can do for you with this book, please let me know. But I'm afraid in your hands it would be about as good as a paperweight.
I want to understand how to undo Asmo's Garrick. But it is very important that very few understand how it works.
I stayed up all of last night, poring through the ritual over and over again, to figure out if it went wrong, and if so, why. The only variable that I can't contend for is the power that is within him now. The energy from that bleeding god. She kind of leans in. Rumor has it that your master has a way to manipulate the souls of even the divine. Is this true?
Yes. I have already spoken with him on this.
Then perhaps this is where we might be able to help each other. If you can find out what you can about such magics, perhaps we can still reverse this. Make him better.
So, only with the Master's help.
Or at least the help of his techniques, his means.
How could I understand these things and quickly so that I can understand the things he tells me?
No doubt the powers that you wield come from somewhere, yes?
I do not know its origin, but yes.
Perhaps start there.
Is there a way to understand where such a thing comes from?
Only by study. By figuring out the limits. You know yourself you know yourself better than anyone. I only know how to gain my powers from studying, from learning from, well, books and experimentation.
Are there books and experimentations you could provide me with that might give me a start?
Our library is in a bit of disarray after the attack, but I can see what resources I can pull for you.
That would be good.
We'll be in touch.
Until then.
Until then.
She nods. And begins to wander off. Can all of you give me a perception check?
Yeah.
Including me?
Yes.
10.
22.
12.
10.
Nara, that strange dragon man. The one that was, the one whose scales you seem to ruffle. He disappeared at some point. Nobody saw him walk off, but he left.
Where did the man go? What color is he?
Bronze scale.
Where is the new bronze baby?
Probably went back to his academy.
But so quietly. I know I do not know the ways of this place much, but his interests concern me. And none of you seem to mind, which also concerns me.
Oh, I mind. Be keeping a very close eye on him.
Nara's just
Good
gonna...
shit.
Bahum is still in the room, correct?
He has no means of leaving.
Right.
So yes, he's still
He's
in this
rolling
cave.
towards the door.
So she's just gonna walk right up to him.
Yes.
That bronze angered easily one.
Harish?
No. The new bronze baby.
he in his weakened state, you can kind of see him like snicker a little bit.
Oh, High Sorcerer Theradoc, yes.
High sorcerer, bronze baby. Whatever. Anyway, I feel something is going bad with that one. Surely you know.
His ambitions have always been great. But thus far they haven't harmed anyone.
Well,
He's always seemed to have his students at mind.
in what way? In that he cares about them, or he wishes for them to gain power?
He teaches them very well. He does seem to care about his students and all of his Dragonborn brothers. I mean, they're all basically some form or another of brother, due to my own brother's libido.
Ugh.
How do they view him?
He's one of the eldest of his race. One of the purest as well. And he's always had a strong affinity towards the magic that flows in our veins. They regard him very highly.
Would they die for him?
I'm sure some would, yes.
Would they fight you for him?
I would say most certainly not. Most tend to like living more than they. Well, even in my state, I do believe I'm not to be trifled with.
You seem like fun.
I try. I don't have much energy for it these days.
That's fair. You did have some sort of thing going on.
Yes, I don't believe you were around for that.
Well, do keep an eye out, if you don't mind. I would like to have less dragons to interact with. You're okay, though.
I appreciate that. It's funny. He said the same thing to me once. The other drow.
Which drow is this?
The assassin.
Wait. You said the assassins you knew were the Deadeyes. Yes?
He was their leader.
Kageroshi.
Yes, that was his name. His chosen name. I helped him choose it.
Ah. What is he like?
Headstrong, driven. No sense of humor. Absolutely none. At least he doesn't like to think that he does. I think there's some dry wit hidden in there. Although maybe he means everything he says literally. Either way, it's funny to me.
Do you know what he does? Or what his plans have been since the last you hired him?
I've never hired him.
Then why interact?
He's tried to kill me on more than one occasion.
That does seem to be a thing that happens here.
There are a lot of people that wish me dead. That number seems to be growing by the day, it seems.
Do you think highly of him? Kageroshi?
I don't necessarily agree with his methods or his choices, but...
Which methods? Which choices?
His choices of occupation. But he seems to be a man of honor.
Why does he choose this occupation? She's starting to crack a little bit.
I'm guessing it's because it's the only thing he knows, and it's what he does best. And he seems to be gathering resources for reason's his own. I can tell there's something there that drives him further, something beyond the job. That's why I could never bring myself to kill him.
I can understand the sentiment. Well, that is good to know. Thank you for sharing your information with me.
And thank you for this conversation. I haven't had a real conversation since I woke up. I appreciate it.
Maybe we can have one again sometime when things are different.
I would enjoy that. I didn't catch your name.
I chose the name Nara.
A strong name. Wear it well.
I will. She's gonna turn quick and kind of walk a little faster than she needs to away.
All right, everybody else, Nara's kind of walking away from the cave.
Well,
I wonder what that conversation was about. Asma looking over, saying to the guys,
Not sure. She's the
everyone.
quick sort, though.
Let's just say she's new to town and she's already incredibly conflicted.
Who isn't conflicted nowadays?
Kench? Not yet, anyways.
he's about to have a whole lot of conflict.
Speaking of, can you please contact Dogud? See what he says. See how fast he can actually get here. Because from what I remember, can't he fly around like lightning? Like, ugh.
Asma scratching his head, trying to remember how it worked fully.
Nara's gonna march up all, like, wound with her hands and all balled up into fists.
So who are we killing?
We're deciding who. You doing okay?
Can't we just pick one?
We will. Don't worry. I'll let you have the first one. How about that?
One? We'll see. We'll see how
One
many
of
there
many.
are. Could be a lot.
Dinner cast sending
All right.
to Dogud.
Mm-hmm.
Dogud, it's Daener. The Kinches have become tyrants. They push war on the east. The dragons want to know if you'll come help.
If you will.
All right.
Okay.
A couple of moments later, you get a reply.
Oh, is that prick that what keeps giving me like them's prayers? Because he's been all bitchy and moany about the fact that I ain't talking about...
So what do you say, Daener?
Well, he's having a conversation with me right now about the fact that Kinch won't, he's not answering Kinch's prayers.
What?
Sending
Let me
again.
guess.
Go ahead, Connor.
Let me guess. He doesn't know how sending works.
Probably. Second sending message. That's the guy. These messages are really, really small. Can't say much. He's causing trouble, hurting a lot of people.
And so I was like, hey, oh, you're interrupting me again. Okay, I see. All right, you know what?
And you see a cloud starting to gather overhead.
What is that?
I think
stand,
it's,
stand back! I activate my invincibility frames and start rolling.
boom, we got company.
Walking off.
A large bolt of lightning fires down. Standing there in white, shimmering, silken cloth with a still a bare vest, but with white fur, kind of flittering. The very unkempt god Dogud stands before you, kind of picking his nose with his pinky. Oh, wait! Wow, this place is fucking shit. What happened here?
Oh, my unholy master.
He kind of like turns around, like looking around to try and find you. Oh, but, oh there you is! God, you can't keep interrupting me like that. So I was telling you, he keeps fucking like talking. He talking like, oh, what's they abandoning me and shit. Oh, hello. I think I met you before. Was use that one? No, you's got tits.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Nara.
I'm Dogud. I'm god of war.
Ah, I can see how that would fit.
Yeah. So anyway, what you bring me out this way for?
All right,
And
so
here is where we will end today's session.